This is Frida Wolf, the voice of Sarah Ryder in Mass Effect Andromeda, and you're listening to Get Coins or Die Tryin'.
Welcome back! I'm the mayor of Hype City, HazyRome, and on the other end of this here video, we got the main man, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, DeepBoyce, and we over here talking about some EA craziness going on with Visceral Games recently getting closed. DeepBoyce, man, what's going on with EA, man?
That is the question. What on earth is going on over at EA? But the news is they shut down Visceral Games, which was, I guess, a developer under the publisher of EA.
Yeah, they told him to go sit on a banana, mate. The great banana, mate. They just told him, get out of here, man.
That's a lot of bananas because Visceral had quite the team.
Yeah, man.
Quite the number of people out there that are out of work. One of those included is Amy Hennig, who was working on a Star Wars related game.
Yeah, something in the vein of like Uncharted or something like that.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a double gut punch. Not only is Visceral Games and a whole bunch of people out of work, but the Star Wars game is not being made. Yeah. The Star Wars game that was previously supposed to be Star Wars 1313, the game that your boy, DeepBoyce, was kind of excited for. I've been hearing about for I don't know how long, and then morphed into this, and this morphed into nothing.
You remember a couple years ago, we got like some concept trailer for like the Star Wars projects that EA's working on, but they showed like legit, they literally just showed concept, and everybody was like, yo, y'all can get out of here with that. I mean, the last time they showed a concept art trailer for something, guess what that turned into? Mass Effect Andromeda. Which coincidentally, BioWare Montreal got close to this year.
Listen, there was...
Yeah, look at it. DeepBoyce is getting choked up, y'all. He's so choked up at this.
There was an extended gameplay trailer back in 2012, E3, for Star Wars 1313. That's how far back we're going with this.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And that got... And this trailer looked really good. It looked promising for fans of this game. For that. We were excited. It kind of looked Uncharted-ish already back then.
For sure. Before Amy Hennig was even involved in it. Because Amy Hennig at that time, she's still working on the Uncharted franchise.
Yeah. And people were excited for, I guess, a shot at... Because, playing a Jedi, that's awesome. That's great. But
they need to be playing as HazyRome and DeepBoyce, baby.
Listen, anyone at Disney, a cameo for your boy DeepBoyce and HazyRome in a Star Wars movie, we're down. Even if we get sliced up in like 2 seconons, I'm down.
But you gotta have a cameo of Stizzo stock. That's the only way you can show up on it.
Stizzo stock. Either I'm some sort of sleazy bartender that doubles as a smuggler.
You got the chest hair for it, man.
Listen, I got a shirt. No, it's a Henley that's opened up with the hairy chest. And I got like some sort of metal piece like under my left eye. Because you gotta, I have some sort of enhancement.
You talking about some next gen dildonics here. You getting a little sexual, man. You talking about
a prosthetic. Oh, that's still no.
Whatever you want to call it, man. That's your business, Mike. You like them great big dildonics, Mike? That's all up to you, Mike. I want nothing to do with that. Jeff Leach, everybody, get that out of here. No.
Regardless, we were gonna get a game playing as either a smuggler or bounty hunter, which I feel like a lot of fans have been clamoring for.
Honestly. Sure, man.
Me, myself, as a Boba Fett fan. Hazy's also a Boba Fett fan. A Boba
Fett
lover.
Get out of here, bro. Boba Fett is the most over. Don't even detour the conversation with that. Get out of town, bro. Get out of here, man.
But that, it's I don't know. It's a much maligned IP that has. I don't want to say it's been kaput because according to the press release that EA has put out about this, it seems like they're going in a different direction, which means that they're maybe going to take some scraps from this project and continue forward with it in some directions that people continue to speculate are rather negative, particularly with loot boxes. I guess that's the running joke that this game didn't have enough loot boxes for EA's liking.
Yeah, I mean, let me just hit you with a quick quote about what EA is going to do with the remnants of this game. All right.
Yeah.
So according to the press release from Patrick Suderlin, he's an exec over at EA. He said, "Our Visceral Studio has been developing an action-adventure title set in the Star Wars universe. In its current form, it was shaping up to be a story-based linear adventure game. Throughout the development process, we have been testing the game concept with players, listening to the feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace." That's interesting. We're going to get to that in a second. It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we needed to pivot the design. We will maintain the stunning visuals, which we haven't seen. They ain't even showed us shite, so that take that with the biggest grain of salt you possible, or the smallest grain of salt. I don't know which one, whatever one that works. We'll maintain the stunning visuals, authenticity in the Star Wars universe, and focus on bringing the Star Wars story to life. Importantly, we are shifting the game to a broader experience that allows for more variety and player agency, leaning into the capabilities of our Frostbite engine with the wonderful graphics we saw, the wonderful animations we saw in Mass Effect Andromeda, and reimagining central elements of the game to give players a Star Wars adventure of greater depth and breadth to explore. This move leads to a few other changes. A development team from across EA Worldwide Studios will take over development of this game, led by a team from EA Vancouver that's already been working on the project. Our Visceral Studio will be ramping down and closing. We're in the midst of shifting as many of the team as possible to other projects and teams at EA. Lastly, while we had originally expected this game to launch late in our fiscal year 2019, we are now looking at a new time frame that we announced in the future. So, I mean, there's a lot to dissect there. That's not the full press release, but we know that Visceral Games apparently they're going to try and move people to other studios and relocate them. So maybe not everyone's out of a job, but generally these things do mean that somebody's out of a job. Secondly, it seems like that they're going to take the remnants of the game and do some stuff that appeal to, the market as it stands today. I don't know what that means, DeepBoyce, but that, to me, that gives me, I look at the market and I see Destiny and Destiny clones. I'm looking at, I haven't seen what Anthem's going to be, but we know that people are trying to copy the Destiny formula, which is like, something that lasts a long time, just like this press release says, something that they feel like can provide content for a long period of time. Plus, it has, those MMO elements, right?
Yeah.
Or those MMO RPG elements. Plus,
I'd say MMO light.
MMO
As someone
light.
that's played MMOs before.
Yes.
No
MMO
disrespect to Destiny, but it is MMO light.
For sure. And to me, I think of games like The Division. I think of what we've heard thus far about Anthem, and I feel like they may be trying to incorporate that into it. Then the other thing in the marketplace I look at that's a problem right now is the idea of like loot boxes. Everybody's getting out of control with loot boxes and microtransactions. Yeah. And EA has even caught some flack for that with Battlefront 2. So
yeah,
I mean,
and I don't know.
What do you make of all this, man?
I'm honestly trying to be as reasonable as I possibly can.
Try not to jump to conclusions.
Yeah, I'm trying not to jump to conclusions because they didn't give us any information as to what direction they're going. They just said they want to reflect what's going on already in the video game market or video game environment, whatever. I forgot what vocabulary that they used. Which I think in and of itself, that doesn't sound good. They shouldn't have written it that way in the first place. They could have just simply said, hey, we're shutting it down and we're taking a different direction with it, and that's it.
Yeah,
but
they could have left it like that because they haven't shown anything about the game anyway. Why be transparent now all of a sudden?
Yeah, I don't see how that sentence in particular is not being received very well. I don't know how they could have thought, unless they drafted this like last minute, that people would have said, oh, wow, we want exactly, to follow the trends of what's going on right now.
Sure.
I don't know how far removed they are from the video game landscape, but there are a lot of trends out there that people are just not a big fan of, loot boxes included. Now, again, they're a business, and when they put money into the development of a game, they have to see a return.
Sure.
I can't sit here thinking that as a fan that they have to specifically cater only to me or even to like a certain group of people. They have to, cater to their stockholders. They have to make sure that they make money in order to put into other projects and to keep their business afloat. And I'm not even going to go as far to say that loot boxes in and of themselves are a bad thing. Destiny type games in and of themselves are a bad thing. I don't know. Battle Royale games like PUBG are in and of themselves bad games either. It's really how they're implemented, because those things can be interesting.
For sure, man. For sure. I mean, there's mad Destiny fans out there. You can't hate on that. Like, there's mad people that love Destiny, and Destiny, it's popular. Like me and you may not be totally into Destiny, but it's popular. Mm-hmm. But it seems like they want to listen. We don't know, like you said, we don't want to jump the gun, but we got to respond to how people are jumping the gun. And a lot of people think, they're turning it into another Destiny clone. But at the end of the day, you brought up a good point about recuperating your losses. Whatever this game is, or wherever this game was supposed to be, has been in development in some shape or form for a long time now. Yeah. From Star Wars 1313 to whatever this Amy Hennig led game was supposed to be. Then you add on to the fact that EA has had some duds in the recent like year and a half, 2 years. I mean, when you look at Mass Effect Andromeda, that was a dud and a half. Yeah. I mean, you look at Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which they didn't expect to do very well, but that was a dud. I mean, Battlefront 2 is getting some negative press right now, and EA has seen what negative press does to a game. If a game's got negative press early on, it's bad. It's not gonna work out well for that game. Battlefront 2 is not looking good with people hating on, the availability of certain upgrades in the loot boxes. You also have things like Titanfall. Titanfall didn't sell well too. That was their own damn fault, but still.
Yeah, and EA is no stranger to bad press.
Yes.
I mean, they are the originators of bad press in the video game industry. They were, I think, once voted the worst company in the world.
Yeah, they were definitely voted like the worst, like one of the worst businesses at some point. I definitely remember that. They even earned a name, and this is aptly named since we're talking about Star Wars. They were called the Sith of the gaming empire. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So and another thing, I mean, you bring up a good point about the fact that the recent history has had a number of duds. EA, their business model, in my opinion, is of having a certain number of games dropped or released every year. Mm. So who knows? Again, like Amy Hennig came from making Uncharted games, and Uncharted, those games are given as much leeway as they possibly can. Like they let the artists, and take their time with those games.
That seems to be Sony's way. I mean, many developers have kind of stated that about Sony.
And when it comes to EA, they're probably the opposite of that. They want their games. They want their games out, and they want their games out during specific parts of the year. Again, with Titanfall 2, rather, that was a good example of them probably
sending a game out to die. Yep, that's exactly what it did.
I was going to say
that game out to die. They was like, yo, go stand right there, man. I'm gonna point this gun at you. I'm not actually gonna fire it. I'm gonna shoot at the enemy over there and shot him in the back. I mean, they adhered to their business strategy probably a little too much when they should have maybe pushed the release of that game to the year after it dropped, because it dropped, when there were a lot of other games coming out. And on top of that, if you look at it dropped a week after Battlefield 1, which did well for EA, but it cannibalized the sales. It dropped, I mean, the span of the end of the month in which it released. It was Battlefield 1, it was Call of Duty, and it was Titanfall 2. Like, gamers were looking at that and they're like, I think I'm going to leave Titanfall 2 on the chopping block. And to be honest, by all accounts, Titanfall 2 was, many people actually stated that it was a really good game, and it was the superior. Some people even said it was a superior shooter game of that fall 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is a shame. And I was going to say, I mean, if you look at Visceral Games' track record, they have, I guess, a handful of games that were good, that I like, that I've played. Yeah, but I think Dead Space, even Dead Space 2, I played and I actually liked better than the first one. And Dante's Inferno, which is like a cult favorite.
Sleeper hit right there.
A sleeper hit, which is like in the vein of maybe DMC or God of War, but people actually liked it a lot. And people are still waiting for a sequel, but it may not happen now.
I think it didn't sell well, but I mean, there's people that liked it. But,
there are people that liked it.
There's also people that complain about it being a little bit too much like God of War, which is understandable.
But let's be honest. And this is by no means me saying that it's fine that Visceral Games get shut down because we're talking about people's livelihoods.
Wait, hold on, DeepBoyce. Hold on. How you gonna forget the game on which you were featured on the cover, man? Battlefield Hardline, baby. You bought that game for a full $60. Remember that, DeepBoyce?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I do remember.
Oh, come on,
I do
man.
remember being on the cover and getting a few photoshops that were pretty funny.
Yeah,
but Battlefield
$60
Hardline,
out of your wallet, yeah.
Battlefield Hardline was yet another game that was kind of released, not to not much critical acclaim, and it wasn't released at the right time.
Sure.
Either. But again, not excusing people losing their jobs or the work or anything like that, but Visceral Games hasn't exactly reinvented the wheel, at least recently, or with the totality of releases.
For sure.
So I me looking at it from a business point of view, not saying that it's okay to dissolve this company and take away people's jobs, but maybe EA was also just trying to cut losses or cut costs, rather, not losses, but cut costs, as they already they dissolved BioWare Montreal, which I guess wasn't making them the amount of money they wanted to make, and heaped on them a large amount of negative press. Or at least what attracted negative press. I don't want to say.
I think it was negative. I think it's safe to say, especially when you check out, Jason Schreier's Kotaku article on the problems of, that EA and BioWare Montreal had with the Mass Effect Andromeda. I think it's safe to say, not that Jason Schreier's article was negative. I just mean the Mass Effect Andromeda response was negative. But when you look at what happened with the studio, it wasn't a good look for EA as a whole, for sure.
Yes.
For sure. I mean, it's one of those things. They closed two studios down, man. Like, and both of those studios were working on things that people love, like Star Wars and Mass Effect. Those are two space franchises, and we don't even got space games like that. Come on, man. Yeah. We need some space love, man.
Yeah, and also, let's be honest. Let's face the cold hard truth. While we do. I mean, who knows what percentage of the gaming populace complains about these features like loot boxes, but people definitely buy them. People definitely spend a lot of money on them, and when it comes to, let's say, the king of loot boxes, Overwatch, people spend a lot of money on those loot boxes and have nothing but nice things to say about Overwatch. Sometimes a few people here and there say, they kind of complain about the pitfalls of loot boxes, and that's really an interesting discussion in and of itself.
Sure. But you have to remember, Overwatch also gives a lot of free content. Like when they drop new characters, that's all free.
That is.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what counterbalances that, because, for the people who don't pay for loot boxes, there are people that play Overwatch and don't buy loot boxes. To them, they're just getting free characters. And I think that's where that balance comes in.
And the loot boxes are also cosmetic.
Sure. Cosmetic. It doesn't help you. It doesn't make you better at the game than anybody else. Like Battlefront 2's loot boxes seem to do.
Yeah, and EA has been doing this for a while, where you can purchase upgrades to, I don't know, your ultimate team or whatever character or your online avatar in a shooter that allow you to advance quicker than other people. And even then, I mean, I think the underlying problem is the fact that loot boxes are a behind the scenes system. And it's a little too akin to gambling. Like, it's a little too much into that gray area of gambling in which the EA is the house. And only they know the code and the frequency in which we get some of these items. And who knows how fair they're playing and how fair they're kind of making this algorithm to which items are being doled out to players.
I mean, I don't want to
it's
go ahead and say they're being malicious or anything with the gambling or anything.
I
would just say, you don't want to get too dangerous and to insinuating that maybe EA is stacking the deck, if you will.
I would go as far to say a little bit.
You think so?
Yes. I mean, because again, they know people pay for these. So obviously, if they make money via the margins in large numbers, as in they make 5 cents from 1 million people, let's say, and that's a lot of money, then you're going to tell me that they're going to miss out on millions of dollars by not tweaking it just enough so that it's, people are not getting as much as they want. So it incentivizes people just enough so that they'll put a little bit of extra money into buying a pack here and there. Like, I mean, come on, that's free money. It's free money, and no one's past that.
The point I'm trying to make is that we don't know what their system is on their side. For all we know, there's just an algorithm that, sets how often or how rare certain things are, and they just let it rock. I just felt like the way you said it initially was like they're manipulating stuff behind the scenes to like make sure that we're definitely not getting what we need. And I was like, I don't want to I didn't want to make it seem like
by definition they're aware. By definition, they know what the frequency is behind the scenes because they're the ones that created it.
I just felt like the way you was saying it was like,
I'm not
out here.
I'm not saying that they're totally gypping us. That they're totally
right.
Like,
that's how I interpreted it. Is what I'm trying to say. That's why I was trying to be clear. Like, I don't really think that.
I'm not saying that. It's just just the principle of it is a little fishy. Is what I'm saying, because they're smart enough to make these games. They know, they have the data, they have the numbers. They know what's going on behind the scenes, and they know that. And this is how like cell phone games also operate. Like Farmville, which is not a cell phone game, but just as an example, they know that those kinds of games prey a little bit on human psychology. Where you're playing Farmville
for sure,
and you reach a cap for the day, but it's like, hey, you throw us $1, you can play for 10 more minutes, and they know that people are going to say, whatever, it's $1, it's nothing. But what's $1 when it's millions of people? What's $1 when it's like every other day?
I mean, like Lil Wayne said, man, what's a goon to a goblin? I don't know.
I'm just saying that out of principle and behind the scenes, the reason that people find these kinds of systems distasteful is because they leave us a little bit vulnerable. Like they kind of take I don't again, you can't outright prove that they're taking advantage of us, but it's fishy and it's kind of not fair.
Yeah, it's fishy. I just still want to just throw it out there that like, this is a conspiracy or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but I think it takes away from the issue at hand, which is just the general conversation of loot boxes and pay to win. I think pay to win is the issue here. Like, It's one thing if, you're paying for cosmetics like Overwatch loot boxes. But like with Battlefront 2, a lot of people complain about the beta where essentially, you're buying these cards that could vastly improve your ability in game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that's at the heart of the issue here. Mm-hmm. And, EA may be trying to do that to make money, and how this relates to to recuperate losses and make money, and how this relates to Star Wars, the canceled Star Wars games and the shutdown of Visceral. I don't know, but I think that you didn't want to go so far as to say it, but I will. I think that they're gonna implement some type of feature that's similar to
microtransactions,
microtransactions and loot boxes of some sort in that Star Wars game.
I mean, and again, microtransactions because the loot box is a microtransaction, and they even fashion them in the way that you would fashion a slot game. It's a mystery. You hit the button. Let's roll. Who knows what it's gonna be?
Of course, listen, you're not wrong. It is a system, and it is very close to gambling. Mm-hmm. And you, in states, you need to be a certain age to gamble. I get that. So you're right. Maybe there does need to be some regulation on that front. But at the end of the day, that's the status quo right now. That's the status quo, and it's up to gamers to decide whether or not we wanna fund those type of endeavors.
True. And I don't want to sound like Jack Thompson here, but Star Wars is a Disney property.
I don't know who Jack Thompson is, but hey.
Jack Thompson, he was a lawyer that was going hard against GTA back in the day. Remember when the hot coffee thing happened?
Yes, yeah. Jack Thompson.
I'm Thompson.
Sorry, you just said like the plainest name ever. You were like, I don't want to be John Smith here. And I was like, well, Pocahontas was cool, man. I don't know why you hating. You just said some random name. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but all right.
But nah, kids do play these games, and they're... Last year, there was an instance of CSGO gambling sites with the skins that kids were spending a lot of the parents' money. And I don't know. These things are available to kids, and they can fall prey to this constant, just like let's roll, let's make it happen, shiny things. You know what I mean? And and microtransactions are as like DLC. You know, we've kind of fought that war about a decade ago, where we kind of had these similar problems, and we've kind of settled into a comfortable area. But now we're entering this whole microtransaction phase, where again it's appealing, like you said, it's the status quo. We're appealing to how they said what is, you know, the trends in the gaming industry, and you know, we're seeing games that either aren't full games or aren't fully finished, but we're getting day one microtransactions for games that may not fully work, for content that is just not necessary. You know, things resources that could have been diverted towards making the game better are diverted towards making the game more profitable. And I think that is probably what's at the crux of this conversation. You know, sure. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't really know, but
I can agree with you there for sure.
Are they interested in making this game more profitable, or are they interested in making a game that's good? Because sometimes, you know, with the way that EA is making games, shipping games, they just care that it's profitable for those 3-4 months or the year, and then, hey, we're going on to the next game.
Sure. I mean, this is kind of like me playing devil's advocate, and I by no means think this is necessarily the case. You know what I'm saying? And me me challenging you on certain things, that's just me, you know, playing with the system and questioning the system. That's how we further the conversation.
Yeah.
But, you know, one thing I wanted to point out is, what if, you know, in accumulating these funds, and you guys there's gonna be many people that scoff at this, but hear me out. In making money for, you know, in these games, is it possible that, you know, we could see EA start making games that, you know, we want to see and that we haven't seen in a long time, or, you know, just stepping outside of what they believe is comfortable? Because at the end of the day, EA they've put out like Mirror's Edge Catalyst. They openly said that game, they knew it was going to be, you know, a niche game, and they knew it was only for a specific set of fans, but they still went out there and they made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, like it or not, with Battlefront 2, yes, they put, you know, microtransactions in there, but if you look at, you know, the class system and how, you know, how in depth they've gone in with it, it's clear that they listened to fans who felt that Battlefront 1. The Battlefield 1, I guess it's just Battlefront 1. Mm-hmm. It's just tough calling it Battlefront 1 because of the previous Battlefront games. But anyway,
yeah.
You know,
it's
crazy,
it's confusing.
But yeah, they clearly listened to the people that had complaints about the first, you know, Battlefront game. Like, EA isn't as tone deaf as we think they are at times. And what if, you know, making money or recuperating losses on something, you know, like microtransactions or, you know, loot boxes, what if that allows us to see Mass Effect again? Mm-hmm. You know, we just had Casey Hudson return to BioWare. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had Aaron Flynn leave. We also had Mike Laidlaw leave recently, and he's been with them for like 14 years.
Yeah.
But what if that opens up other doors for us to see other IPs, other things from EA that we wouldn't normally see?
Yeah, and I by no means put, like, the rant I went on earlier, I don't put that squarely on the shoulders of EA. Sure. Because, like what you said, I don't know if they're going to buck the trend in terms of the games that they make, but make no mistake, there are a lot of EA games out there that people like, that we like here in this conversation. Sure. You mentioned the Mass Effect franchise, so
absolutely.
Yeah, we like to rag on EA, but they've made, I almost go as far to say that the majority of gamers out there have liked or, you know, one or several games produced by EA at some point in time.
I mean, we played Madden. We grew up on Live when Live was good.
Yeah.
We grew up on all that stuff. We grew up on EA damn near our whole lives. And you used to mention Dead Space, Mass Effect. I played Mirror's Edge. You know, I enjoy that. Yeah. Like, there are a lot of games that they made. And what if by recuperating losses with things like that, and you know, with Anthem being a Destiny clone, even though we don't know that much about Anthem, but with the notion of you know, maybe Anthem being a Destiny clone, or, you know, them inserting some transactions into this Star Wars game. What if that yields rewards for us, for gamers? What if we benefit from that? EA has shown that, especially recently, and in light of them being nominated as one of the worst companies, or awarded the title of worst company, they've shown that they are trying to listen, that they're not necessarily completely tone deaf, because if people aren't buying the games, they're not going to make money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And this by no means is the first canceled Star Wars game. I mean, they have.
Oh no, it's not. That's part of the problem, right? It's part of the problem. But I mean, what if inserting those things actually yields some type of benefit? And mind you, let's not paint like loot boxes and microtransactions as all being bad. Mm-hmm. It's when it's paid to win. That's when it's bad. Mm-hmm. Like we brought up the good kind or good kind air quote loot boxes with Overwatch, completely cosmetic. It's completely up to you, and it doesn't change the landscape of how you play the game. And it's balanced off by, hey, there are people paying for these loot boxes, and they're giving us free characters. There's a balance there, and there needs to be a happy medium. And I think that's, kind of where we're getting at. Whatever's going on with EA and Visceral, my only hope is that the people affected by this the most, which is Visceral Games, I hope that they're able to keep their jobs. And I'm eager to see what's going to happen with Amy Hennig, and whether or not she's still working on this game. It's possible that she just shifted over to a new studio. Yeah. I mean, Amy Hennig is a big time, writer for games, man. So I definitely want to see what happens with the game, man.
Yeah, I mean, she's pivotal. She's important. I mean, if it weren't for her, then we wouldn't have gone as far as we have with Uncharted games.
Word, man. Absolutely, man. But any final words, DeepBoyce, before you sign us out?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a Star Wars mark. I just give me something. give me something. EA, anybody, I don't know who's working on it, but
yeah, hear that, EA? Give DeepBoyce his next gen Dildonics prosthetic. Give it to him.
Hey, listen, it was, I'm not even gonna get into it.
You're a dirty bastard. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Listen. From a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Stizzo Stock has signed us out of this video.
Peace out, y'all.